To create a grid system in Unreal Engine, first create a blueprint with two procedural mesh components, one for the grid lines that will draw rectangles, and the other for the grid selection, which will draw a square. Then create a function to return the line width. It should multiply the number of grid rows against the tile size, both variables that you can specify for. Next, create a function to return the line height. It should multiply the number of grid columns against the tile size. Again, both variables that you can set the value for. Then, create a function to draw the grid lines. It needs to have 5 inputs that include the start and end positions of the lines, the line thickness, and the vertices and triangles array used to create the mesh. Define 2 variables for the half thickness and direction of the line. The direction can be calculated by subtracting the line's end position against the line's starting position and then normalizing that value. Then take the cross product between the result and another vector that goes vertical on the z-axis to get the line's direction. We can now calculate the line's vertices by multiplying the half thickness by the line's directions and adding or subtracting that to the line's start and end position to gather the 4 corner points of the line. We can then order the vertex positions in a counterclockwise fashion to form triangle meshes with the normals pointing up. If you arrange them clockwise, then the normals will face down. Write the last function to create a dynamic material instance and pass 2 inputs for color and opacity to give your grid some life. Feel free to pass any material instance you want and adjust any scalars you need. Finally, use our functions inside the construction script to create our grid system. We can make 2 calls to the function to create our dynamic material for the grid lines and the grid selection squares. Then make 2 calls to the function to draw the grid lines, one for the horizontal lines and the other for the vertical lines. Next, make a call to the Create Mesh section node and pass in the line procedural mesh as the target, and use the arrays for the line vertices and line triangles to draw the grid. Use the Set Material node and pass in the material instance we created earlier to add color and opacity to the grid. Finally, make one last call to the Draw function and pass in the square vertices and triangles array to create the selection piece of the grid. And just like that, you now have a fully editable grid system for your project.